Now, I'm very pleased to welcome a man that's just announced his latest fight against Marius Wack, which you can hear live on talkSPORT on June the 16th. Let's say hello and good evening to British heavyweight Frazer Clarke. Hi, Frazer.
What's happening, guys?
We're good. We're very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Really good.
How excited are you about your next opponent, Marius Wack? What a great name for a boxer.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good fight for me, and after a lot of noise for some of the wrong reasons the last week or so, I'm just glad to have an opponent, someone I can get focused on and do my talking in the ring.
Frazer, I've got to ask you. Obviously, there was a lot of chat about you and his name escapes me now. Fabio Wardley. Why didn't that fight happen?
It was obviously I was pulled from the purse bids. My team deeming I needed more rounds, which was upsetting because obviously I was confident in taking the fight and wanted to do the fight, but for one reason or another, it was sort of suggested to me that I should. They pulled me from the purse bid basically, deeming that I needed a few more rounds before taking on Fabio. And yeah, so that's what happened.
Do you agree with that decision? In fact, before you answer that, have a listen to this, because we were joined on our show by Fabio. He said he didn't think your promoter Ben Shalom had your best interests at heart. Have a listen.
There was rumblings of all of this, and I said, look, you need to go find your promoter, grab him by the scruff of his neck, and have a serious word with him. And his response was, look, mate, he was like, look, I want this, but there's just other things going on. Basically, I can't speak to his situation. It's not fair for me to do so. I don't know entirely what's going on with him, but like I say, I do believe he did want the fight. I just think he's in a sticky situation with a not so great promoter who doesn't seem to have his best interests at heart.
What do you make of that comment, Frazer?
I think in some instances it's not so wrong in the instance that, he knew I wanted to fight. Fabio knows me well enough to know that, I'd fight him, and I know for a fact he was more than up for the fight with me. Obviously my promoter, he had concerns about me taking the fight after jumping from a 6-rounder to a 12-fighter. So in that instance, I say, he did have my interest at heart because, we're in it for the long game, and sort of the short-term vision of Fabio and the British title. It was all good for me, and in my head, I was really excited for it. But I probably got a little bit carried away with myself. Not to say that I wouldn't take the fight, because I'd take it again tomorrow. But the promoter had the manager, they had a vision and they had a plan, and I've just took some sound advice, and I'm going to get some more rounds in. But yeah, it was a frustrating time for him, I'm sure. Even more frustrating for me because it looked as, to the public and stuff, that I was one that didn't want the fight when I was here begging for the fight from the beginning, and I really wanted it. But, after words with my promoter and the broadcaster, they had different plans in place.
So, Frazer, you saying then deep down you wanted the fight, and at this stage of your career now, do you think you could beat him now?
Yeah, 100%. I'm a fighter, and that's just how I am in my head. Sometimes, maybe an arm around me and a couple and a few, good voices in my head just telling me to slow down isn't so bad. But I really do believe this was a fight that I was more than capable of winning. I think it was a great fight for the public. Two confident young heavyweights that really wanted to get at it. So yeah, it was disappointing in that sense. But I still do believe me and Fabio will fight, and I even believe it's a bigger fight now than it was before this happened.
I'll be honest, I quite like what you're saying, because I've watched boxing so many times, and there've been mismatches. Sometimes you get concerned about the welfare of the boxer, and then afterwards you're like, why are those two matched? I quite like the idea that people, including you and people that look after you, are thinking long-term about your health, and it might not be the right fight for you now, but it might be if and when you beat your next opponent.
Yeah, there was, like I said, there was a lot of good things to take from the people saying to me. But at the same time, obviously, at the time, I was a bit annoyed and angry because I felt like, I was missing out on a big opportunity. But I've been reassured that, the opportunity will come again. And when it does come, I'll be even more prepared than I feel I already was.
Frazer, let me ask you, so you're fighting against Marius Wack, and obviously he's more experienced of a professional than Fabio is. Do you think this is going to be a harder fight?
Possibly, yeah. I really do. He's definitely, he's more experienced. He poses a few threats. He's a big man. He has really long limbs, a good jab, and he's well seasoned. He knows his way around the boxing ring, a professional boxing ring, a lot more than me anyway. So, it'd be a great learning fight for me and a good test for myself, and we'll see where I'm at.
Listen, let's move on. I want to get your view on something the WBC heavyweight champion, the Gypsy King Tyson Fury, said. He took to Instagram today. I don't know if you've heard it. We'll play a bit of it now. He slammed the current state of the heavyweight division. Have a listen.
Get me an opponent and I'm knocking him the out, Frank. There you go, Frank Warren. Make it happen, Frank. Because the big guns, so-called big dogs, don't want no smoke until December. And I'm ready to fight now. Since I've been away from boxing, boxing's gone to a load of I've got to give everybody in the country something to look forward to. A proper event. Because we haven't had one since I last fought in December. Enough said.
And let me ask you, Frazer, I, as a boxing fan, get a little bit bored with what Tyson Fury comes out and says. Sometimes he comes out and says he's going to retire, then he's not going to retire, then he is. Then he says he's going to fight for free. You'll be able to watch it on TV for free. Then he comes out and says, I'm only getting back into the ring for £500 million. Then he's fighting AJ. Then he gives him a day to sign a contract. Then he's fighting Usyk. Then it's not. It goes on and on and on. So I sort of take whatever he says with a pinch of salt. How do you view Tyson Fury? Not as a boxer, because we know he's unbelievable, but with regards to what he says time and time again when he comes out on social media.
He's just a character, some people love him, some people, won't love him so much. But actually, after meeting him in person and speaking to him a few times, he's always had time for me before, not this fight, the fight before he came into the changing rooms and wished me luck and give me a little bit of advice. So I've not got a bad word to say about him. He just seems to just transform into a character when there's a microphone or a camera put in front of him. And we are in the entertaining business, but if he couldn't look after himself with his hands and he wasn't doing the business in the ring, I'd say he was an idiot. But you can't really, there's not too much you can say, because when it comes down to it, the nitty gritty, he takes care of business.
Yeah, sure.
Frazer, is it not frustrating for you though? Because listen, us as boxing fans, we want to see the best fight the best. We saw it obviously a couple of weeks ago, not in the heavyweight division, Ryan Garcia taking on Tank Davis. Why do you think we're not getting the big fights in the heavyweight division?
It's frustrating for everyone, I think, and one thing I've learned since turning professional is this is way more of a business than it is a sport, unfortunately, and it shouldn't be like that, but there's so many T's that have to be crossed and I's dotted before, you even get two people in the ring. So I think, there's a lot of ego involved as well. There's huge money. And then, these deals, they sort of seem to get somewhere, and then before you know it, they break down and there's fights off, which is frustrating. Obviously, I find this out firsthand in the last week or so. But at that level, I think these guys, they don't need for money anymore. They've got more money than they can spend in a dozen lifetimes. So, eventually you have to give a bit back. And the way to do that is to just accept the fights, the fans want to see. And I'm a fan as much as everyone else. And I want to see Usyk Fury. I want to see Wilder AJ. And I'm sure they'll get well paid and well looked after. But, just like I always say, lads, just get it on.
Listen, Frazer, thanks so much for coming on. Before I let you go, people can see you on YouTube. I saw your dog's head. I imagine all boxers to have the hardest dogs in the world. What dog have you got? What's he called?
No, just around my brother's. That's one of his staffers. And I'm not sure he's got a few, but he was jumping up me, and to be fair, I'm terrified of it. So I was just happy and scared that it wasn't going to bite my leg off.
Don't let them know you're scared. What's it called? Has he got like a proper hard dog's name? Like Rambo or something?
Hey, what's the dog called? The one that just come here. Luna.
I thought you said Bruno. I was like, okay, yeah, that works. Listen, Frazer, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. We love talking about boxing. We love it when boxers come on our show. We're very honoured. So good luck with your fight, and hopefully we'll speak to you again very soon.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, pal. There you go, the wonderful Frazer Clarke. Don't forget, of course, next Saturday, talkSPORT brings you exclusive radio commentary of the WBO World Cruiserweight title fight between Lawrence Okolie and Chris Billam-Smith. That'll be live from the Vitality Stadium in Bournemouth. I've got a bit more breaking news.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.